Hi guys, good evening. So before we begin, I would just want to know three things. One, can you see me clearly? Give me a yes or no. Can you see me clearly? Okay. Two, can you hear me clearly? No problem, I can speak louder. That is not a problem. Can you hear me clearly also? So a couple of people are saying that my voice is not audible, but the rest of you are saying yes. Okay. Third question, can you also see the iPad screen clearly? Okay, okay. All right, so we will begin at 5:05, and I think the session would be started by Yash. Okay, then I would take over. So let us start in 3 minutes from here. Simran, a couple of people are saying that I am not audible. You let me know that. Can you hear me clearly, Simran?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, all right. So the voice is loud enough, no?
Yes, it's clear.
Okay, okay. So over to Yash whenever he wants to start. Guys, please wait for a couple of minutes. So Yash will be starting the session. He is just about to join. Okay? Don't worry that you could not hear anything because I was not saying anything. So we are waiting for Yash to join. Yash is here. Over to him.
Hey, hi everyone. Hi, can you all hear me? Give me a yes if you can hear me quickly. Only 230 of you. Quickly, guys, right now take 1-2 minutes. Call your friends also right now. It's a very important one. Matlab, you guys are here to learn tech. Personal branding का जो pending वाला है वो मैं लूंगा. I will take that session for sure. But I thought that Sumit sir has something very fantastic to teach you all today. Very, very important. How to build website. Like literally coding 101 or coding like 100. Like that's the subject we are going to do today. Right? So I want all your friends also to join this session so that nobody misses on this. This is not something you miss on. Right? So can you quickly take next 2 to 5 minutes and have your friends join this session, because Sumit sir is here. I will ask him to wait for next 2 to 5 minutes. Okay. Parallelly, 2-3 things, right? One, I saw a lot of LinkedIn posts. Great job on LinkedIn, all of you. दो चीजें ध्यान रखो. Remember 2 things when you are posting on LinkedIn. Number 1, make sure that your post is readable. Right? Parkhar, it is not, I would say it's coding 101. The reason is because fundamentally you will understand how logics of the UI work fundamentally, right? What are the different element types and everything. And you will be learning a very interesting tool, which also has a way where you can look at. Okay, hold on, Noor, pause here. Please don't spam. About the dashboard. Within 1 or 2 days, you will get access to your dashboard. I'll tell you why you don't have access to dashboard yet, right? When some of you registered, you either registered with wrong email ID, wrong name, or wrong mobile number. So if your details were not right, they weren't right mapped properly on the dashboard, and that is likely why you haven't got access to the dashboard. Don't worry. On the group, you have access to the form, which if you fill, you will have access to the dashboard. You have to fill the form. Once you submit that form, which is for dashboard access, you will get access. So I am no spamming email ID, your LinkedIn ID here. Okay. Now about last class ka homework, right? Sumit sir and I are here to discuss about that. So I think Sumit sir's homework, Sumit sir will explain you once again. Let's focus on finishing that, because there is going to be homework for this class too. But about last class's homework, ideally what I expected was I taught you to utilize and leverage LinkedIn. And the expectation was that you do it over 2 weeks. 2 weeks may you try and make 6 posts about anything, about the news articles you have read, something trending on LinkedIn, something your observations or learnings from the lesson or something, right? Only note which I wanted to tell you all for the last assignment is, don't make posts about too many posts about SST. I know that you get more traction on those things, but point is, I want you to think beyond that and also look at news articles and other things to make posts on. Sounds fair? Nishant, you will get points on dashboard. Rest assured on that. We are actively evaluating all your assignments. There are more than 500 assignments, 600,000 assignments, right? So it takes some time for us to evaluate, right? Regarding NSET and interview, okay. I think all of you here, you can make posts on anything, whatever you like. Just ensure that you don't make something controversial, because it's a professional platform, right? You want to maintain the decorum of that platform. So any news you read, anything else. And if you want to post about SST or anything of your experience, maximum 1 post is allowed. Because otherwise that post will be the most viral post. Job career, and that's not fair, right? I want you to learn how to write and do research and make LinkedIn posts properly. When I say more readable, right? Readable is write maximum 2 lines. 2 lines के बाद एक space डालो. Then write more pointers में LinkedIn post, so that it's easy for people to read and understand what you have written. Are we clear, guys? Last date to submit, ideally it's before this session, but since this project was a 2-week assignment, so it's a parallel assignment. Okay. So far, whatever I have said, are you all clear? Give me a yes if you are clear. Pause right now. I will take more questions. I need 100 yeses to move forward. Huh? Brilliant. Chalo, now I am confident that you guys are listening. Next thing which I want to make sure is, you are asking about NSET and interview results. Interview results will be out in maybe next 3 days or 5 days max. We are just finalizing those interview results. Second is about NSET. Again, we will take that separately, but since you guys are asking, just a quick question. How many of you are taking NSET for this upcoming May attempt on 19th May? Give me a yes if you are taking an NSET on that attempt. Don't need to put it on chat, just put it there. Only those who are taking. Just to let you all know, whoever is taking NSET, last time I know you faced a lot of technical issues while taking. This time, rest assured that yeah, Prabal, I'm aware that you're already a part of SST. So just ensuring that whoever gave NSET last time and struggled with NSET because of technical issues, you can give it again. And this time, like, absolutely, there won't be any errors. That is something which we are working on, right? Like that, there won't be any technical issues you will face. So rest assured on that also, right? Lavish, dashboard access will be given. You have to fill a form on the chat. We are trying to solve that. The only reason why you don't have dashboard access is either of the two. One, your email ID or name or number, whatever you gave was wrong while you give it. Second is there is some kind of a technical issue which we are right now looking at. Either of the two. So don't worry. In 1 or 2 days it will be solved. You can submit your assignment on the forms which are shared. So be active on the groups. There are messages we send every day. Harsh, don't worry about ranks and all right now. Our goal is learning and we all are working together on making this happen. 1 second. I have 2 more exciting things, but only for that you guys need to stop. Spamming the chat. Only then I'll give you these 2 exciting things. Sumit sir, Ritesh, I understand your concern. We will take this concern separately.
Yes,
This
sir.
is not a SST information session, so we won't talk much about that right now.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. I'm in the meeting. Yeah.
Sumit sir, I think shall we make this announcement for everyone that we are launching our own NSET course soon for everyone.
Yeah, we can. Of course, we can.
Yeah, so Sumit sir has worked on it, so I don't know why there is an echo. So please bear with that. So Sumit sir has worked really hard on creating a detailed course on NSET, right? And that will slowly and steadily soon go live. So stay tuned for that also, number 1. Second is, how many of you love coding or how many of you already know how to code? Give me a yes. Guys, quickly give me a yes. How many of you know already how to code? Yeah. Oh, lovely. 133. So I think this is for you. Like, this is something which I can guarantee is literally meant for all of you. There is something called as a National Coding League which is coming up. Sumit sir, if I can screen share.
Yes, sir. Of course.
Yeah. So there is something called as a National Coding League. 14,500 I've already registered, by the way. It's a lot of registrations. But yeah, so this is largely for people graduating in 23, 24, 25 and class 12th. The first round will be held on, it's an intra-regional qualifier round, right? And these are the stages for that. So 13th is the last date to register for this. Then there is 16th, the direct intra-regional rounds and doubt solving sessions and webinars. So I think anybody who's interested in coding should definitely give it a try. It's free registration. There is nothing. It's just a coding competition and 14,500 people in India are participating. Can you have a session on that event, please? I will definitely do that. 13th, you register for that. You will have session on that. Nishant, please don't spam. We will answer all the questions. Now, my second important thought for all of you, right? If you don't have coding, don't worry, you will learn. This is majorly for some people who like coding or want to explore coding or are passionate. You can do it in teams also, right? Fair. So, iske liye you can register. I can share the link on chat for this. Simran ma'am, are we there? Can we put it on, pinpoint it on the board?
Yeah, sure.
National Coding League. I am also putting the URL for you all. Pin message कर दिया है मैंने. Can you all see this? Can you all see the page? Just click yes if you can. Yeah, you should ask each other to make the teams. That's brilliant. इसलिए तो मैंने डाला है वहाँ पे. Notion we will definitely cover. I will personally take a session for that. But today I thought website building was very important, and Sumit sir was available. Okay, perfect. चलो ये एक हो गया. Quick question: how many of you are interested about AI? So there is something. Okay. Great. So there is something optional, right? And I don't know. Like, if it depends if you have time tomorrow. There is a very interesting session which I just saw today right now when I was looking at this. I saw an interesting session at which is happening tomorrow. Interestingly, let me just maybe. I mean, if you're interested, only then show up, because it's not for like, matlab, only if you're interested in AI. So this is taken by Naman Bhalla sir, a very senior faculty at SSC. He was an ex-software engineer at Google. So it will be largely talking about career options in AI, and more about like what are the different branches of AI, ML, and all those things. And also maybe we will cover a little bit about SST. So anyone who's interested in SST can maybe attend this. If you are looking to apply, or if you have any questions on SST, or if you want to know about careers in AI, that is a session. You will also have a certificate from SST. A free AI ML course will also be given, and there will be like a live quizzing round also, which will be happening on this session. It's tomorrow. So इसमें अगर आपको करना है, you can attend. Again, not something mandatory. It just things are there, so I'm sharing. पिन कर दिया है मैंने, ठीक है. Naman sir is fantastic. You should ask him questions actually. Everything is free, yaar. Matlab, this is only for like uh, I want our YIP students to do really well. So that's why I am sharing these things with all of you. These are optional things. Matlab, ऐसा mandatory नहीं है कि you have to attend and all. It's optional. But if you do, it's a good exposure, is what I'm saying. Right? Uh, Sumit sir, over to you. I think I came with my information. Dashboard problems will be solved. If you haven't completed your task, please look at announcement channel. There are task details in PDF. There are submission forms also. If you don't have the dashboard, please submit it there. Right? Sayyam, can you please email me if you have good coding skills, but unfortunately couldn't clear NSET? Let us. Maybe you should attempt NSET again, because I think you should really work on your math skills then. Because if your coding is good, you will have logical reasoning skills could be good. Sumit sir, over to you. Sorry for taking up your time, but students had a lot of doubts on homework.
No problem, sir.
Yes. So everyone now, please be ready. Proper notes banao. Sumit sir is here. Ask him all the questions you have, and ensure that by the end of this session, we make some very solid website. Sumit sir, let इतना train कर दो अच्छे से बच्चों को कि they can make a solid website at the end of this session.
Okay, sir. I'll try my best.
Yes, perfect. Chalo guys, now full focus on the session.
All right, guys. So let me define agenda for the lecture. Also, before I would define the agenda, I would state an assumption. So why that assumption is being defined? Because I'm going to assign your homework. So assuming that you are a 12th grade student and you are
Sir, your volume is little low.
All right, sir. Is it a little better now? People have been complaining about it, but I think is the voice still low?
Voice is low.
Voice is low. Let me rejoin. I'll rejoin. I'll just see what's happening. Just give me 1 second.
Also, guys, one thing I want to highlight by the time Sumit sir comes is that when you're using LinkedIn, use it responsibly. Right? So always, ideally, try to be like thoughtful of what type of news also you are covering, or what insights are you talking about on LinkedIn. Right? Typically, it's a professional platform, so talk more about startup, tech, all these things to build your profile. Baki, did you all enjoy the last session? Give me a yes if you guys actually enjoyed and found it valuable. Perfect. Overall, what do you think about YIP? Overall, you're liking the YIP? Give me on chat like whatever feedback you have for YIP so far, so that we can do even better for you guys. Now the level of sessions is going to increase drastically. Are you guys enjoying YIP? Do you see this actively adding value to your learning curve? But the objective is just for you guys to fully get very good with tech, innovation, startups. Task 2 मैंने detailed note दिया है वहाँ पे. There is a detailed note, so read that properly and you will have like a proper year. You can rewatch. The recording is also shared for the last session with all of you. I know we wanted to make it 2 sessions a week, but we have to give everyone time to absorb the learnings, right? Last day for submitting is by next Friday. So since it's a continuous project. Maruti saying only one session of YIP a week. Life is becoming boring. Session, I know, but point is, it's time for you to reflect. Also, we want you to get that time too. Perfect. But as long as you are enjoying that Sumit sir is back. Over to you, Sumit sir.
Is the voice a little better now?
Perfect. Voice is better, sir.
All right. Thank you. All right, guys. So I hope you can see the screen. So I'll state the assumption that you are a 12th grade student. You are doing this internship, and we would be learning no code website development today. I would also give you why. Yes, sir said that this is coding 101. Don't worry, it is actually coding 101. So I would actually explain you the infrastructure, how websites actually work. So you would learn that architecture and the infrastructure, and why, when all those technologies exist, why are we using this one? Okay. You are going to be assigned a homework, and I assume that you have a computing device available with you. You at least have a computer or you have a laptop. And if you do not have both, then you would need to go to a cyber cafe and solve the assignment over there. So you get a homework. So this is the most important assumption, that you are going to get a homework and you should be able to arrange a computing device. Either you have it or you should arrange it somehow. Okay. Sir, have already talked about the homeworks that have been done so far. Let me define agenda for today's lecture. So let us talk about that agenda for today's lecture. So I have divided into 3 parts. So of course, first part is classwork, then homework, and then question and answer. In the classwork, I have 4 sections. So one is basics of web. So here I would not talk about any technology. I would just talk about the architecture of web. What is a client? What is a server? Those kind of things. Then what are the usual technologies used in web development? So it is necessary to make you aware of those before we start with no code website development. You should know why we are doing no code website development. So technology is used in web dev generally in the world. Then what is no code website development, and then we would engross ourselves in that. Then I would eventually do a demo, give you a homework, take a few questions, and that is how the session is going to proceed. So before I begin with the classwork, do you have anything to ask? So the first topic that I am going to discuss is basics of web. So before I begin, do you want to ask anything? Yes, Vijay, it does not give you the same power, but it has its use in the world. Okay? You do not have a laptop. Ashish, in that case, what I'm going to say is that maybe go to a cyber cafe when you get a homework and then try to finish it off. All right? Okay. So let's begin. I see a few questions. What's the difference between web and web 3? So not for today. All right? So let us start with basics of web. So how web actually works. So what I'm going to discuss here is what happens when you take a URL, you write it in the taskbar, you write it in the URL bar of your browser, you press and enter, what happens? Okay, let us try to understand that. So this is the first thing that I'm going to understand, how web works. So I am sitting at my home. I open a browser, Google Chrome or Firefox or Internet Explorer. So I write google.com here, and then it shows me some magic over here. It shows me something which I have a search bar, I have a button. If I write, let us say, youtube.com, I see something else here. I see videos here. And if I write facebook.com or instagram.com, I see some other kind of content over here. So what I am going to ask you here is, what do you think happens when I open a browser and in the search bar I write google.com? What do you think happens? What happens? I want you to write something. What happens? So you have to write something here. What happens? When I write google.com and press an enter, what happens? What happens? HTML request, client connect to the server, pulls you to the address. Google is also, and search engine, that is also true. So do not worry about google.com. Instead, have any website. For example, let us say you wrote scalar.com. Then what do you think would happen? Scalar.com. What happens? Landing page loads. So that is correct. So what happens is, eventually the effect of what happens is we see some UI over here. So if we write scalarschooloftechnology.com, so we would see the Scalar School of Technology page, we would see an image here, then we would see the curriculum here, that kind of stuff. So what happens behind the scene is, this request is somehow sent to a special computer somewhere located in the world, and that computer is called the server. So the first two terms that we have to understand is client and the server. Client and the server. Okay. So what is a client? So client is a, as such, both of them are computers only. This is a computer also. So computer means a computing device. That could be a mobile also. And this is also a computing device. Okay. That could be a laptop, that could be a real PC, that could be a, let us say, I would call a computer which has serving operating system installed on that. So both of them are computers only. So how do we decide which computer becomes a client and which computer becomes a server? So a computer becomes a client because of existence of a special program on it. So program running on a computer makes it a client. Running on a computer, I would just write PC for the short of it, makes it a client. Makes it a client. So what do I mean by a client? A client is that kind of machine which sends request. Client sends requests for data. Client wants data. Client wants data. So can you name me a few client programs that you might be aware of? Can you name a few client programs? So let me name a few. So there is Google Chrome. Google Chrome is a browser. Every browser is a client. Can you name a few other clients? Can you name a few other clients? Opera. So all the browsers. Instead of a browser, can you tell me at least one client which is not a browser? So of course Firefox is there. Of course Microsoft Edge is there. But besides browser, Bing is not a, CMD is not a client. CMD is not a client. So add the essence of it. Please stop now. I got it. So I got a few answers here. Just now somebody answered correctly. Now somebody answered correctly. This is Srikar. Srikar has answered it correctly. Curl. So clients are those programs which help us make requests of data. So every browser is a client. But besides a browser, let me tell you about a client called curl. So curl is a command line utility. You do not have a window, you do not have all those things. But using curl, we can make a command. This is a command line utility, and we can make requests of data. So let me show you that for 1 second. Kali Linux is an entire operating system, so that cannot be called a client. So don't worry. Let me share you the entire screen, and let me show you a different kind of a client that we are not very familiar with. So let me show you. Let me just open the terminal. Can you see the terminal? So command prompt PowerShell, everything is fine. So on Windows we would have command prompt or PowerShell. On Mac I generally use ZSH. So ZSH is also a terminal. So see what I am going to do. The utility that I am going to use is called curl. I know the font is small, but I would tell you what I am writing. I have written curl. So curl is a utility. The purpose of this utility is to hit servers on the internet and download data from there. So I would just write curl. So it would tell me you cannot use curl like that. You have to tell curl what do you want out of it. So I would tell curl, get me the data on HTTPS let us say I asked him to give me data on any website. So I can think of crickinfo.com right now. So crickinfo is coming in my mind. So I would write crickinfo.com. And when I would press enter, let's see what happens. So do you think something has happened? I got a response here. This response has actually come from crickinfo.com, and it tells me that this page has moved to espncrickinfo.com. So if you cannot read it, I would read it for you. So it is written moved permanently, and in the next line it is written the document has moved to espncrickinfo.com. So I made a request and I got to know that actually request has to be made to espncrickinfo.com. No worries. So the next request I would make to espncrickinfo.com using curl itself. So again I wrote curl, and now I wrote the new URL, which is espncrickinfo.com. So HTTPS, then www.espncrickinfo.com, and I made an enter. Let's see what happens. So do you see so much data? And somewhere I saw Travis Head. Of course, Travis Head is a player, and I know all of you must be aware of Travis Head and most likely hating him also. But do you see that this request has been made and so much data has been downloaded from somewhere? So what kind of data is this? I can read this information. Some of it is JavaScript, some of it is HTML, some of it is CSS. So do you see that data has been downloaded? The most important thing, the only thing that I want to know right now is, do you see that data has been downloaded? Using curl, I have been able to access a file from a different computer. So do you people realize that or not? Say yes. All right. Okay. So let me again share the iPad and focus on the iPad screen. So the first part that I wanted, so curl, if it is not on Windows, it can be installed on Windows. Don't worry. So you go to the curl's website, you would get an exe and you can install. So curl would get installed on your Windows and you can access it using command prompt. Is it similar to git clone or wget? Wget and git clone are also, so I would not say git clone, but I would say wget. Wget is also a client. It also downloads, but from a specific repository. All right, it does not access the entire internet, but from a specific repository. Nilaksh, is your question addressed? So what I am saying is, there are many such clients. For example, npm, gem, pip, wget, apt-get. So there are many such clients, but some of these clients are only able to access a specific website. For example, npm is only able to access the npm repository on the internet, not the entire internet. Curl, on the other hand, is able to access the entire internet like every browser. Is this clear, Nilaksh? Yes, pip is only used for Python. So that is what I was saying. So let me give you a few more examples of the clients. So client is a program that helps you make data requests. For example, I would first mention the generic clients. So Firefox, Chrome, Edge. These are generic browsers. They can access the entire internet. Curl can also access the entire internet. The only difference is it does not have a UI. They have a UI. This is a command line tool. Then there are clients like, some people mentioned them because they are aware of it, apt-get or pip or npm or NuGet or wget. So these are also clients because they can also download libraries. But they do not access the entire internet. For example, pip can only download Python libraries. Gem can only download, let us say, Ruby libraries. So there is Yarn also. There are so many of them. There are thousands of them. But these are specific. The generic clients are able to access the entire internet. For example, curl. Command I would not call a client as such. So the kind of clients that I am talking about right now, those kind of clients help you access the internet. So right now I'm focused on those kind of clients. Postman can also be used as a client. All right. Okay. Now you have some idea about what a client is. Client is a program that helps you make a data request. Now, what is a server? So server is also a program that help you respond. So first thing that helps you to one listen for client requests. First thing, it helps you listen to client requests. So many client requests are coming. It helps you listen to them and respond to them with data. So for example, I am right now sitting on my Mac. Can I convert my Mac into a server? Can I make a server out of it? Which means requests would come to it and I should be able, my program would be running here, listening to data, and it should be able to give response or give data in return to that. So can you mention at least one server program? How can I convert my Mac into a server? Which program should I install to make it a server? Aman Pandit, it is correct. FTP server is one answer. Something else? Apache. I was wanting to listen to this. So I can install Apache Tomcat here. Or I can make a node server here. Or if I am from the Windows world, I can install something called IIS. So Apache Tomcat is there, node server is there, IIS is there. These help me to listen to requests coming from all around the world to my computer, and if the request is in a proper format, is following a proper protocol means it is well structured, then I can give a response to that. So is the client and the server, at least the basics of the client and server, is that clear to you? So clients help you make requests, server help you give a response to the request. The client program helps you make a request, the server program helps you give a response to the request. For that matter, these terms are loosely used. For example, let us say on my program, on my machine 1, I installed SQL server. It only means that a program would be running here all the time, and there are files of data in this machine. Now using another machine on which I have installed SQL client, or I will say SQL Server Management Studio, there I can write a specific query, and when I would press enter, this query would travel here. This server would process the query, would try to understand what data is requested, and would respond with data. So in this machine, in this diagram that I have made right now, I want to ask which one is the server and which one is the client. If these are the arrows, which one is the server? So I would again give you an example of client and server. So client and server are not always web client and web server. They necessarily need not be always web client and web server. Web means it would respond with web pages. Sometimes they can be different kind of servers if the data is of different kind. For example, let us say this is machine 1. On machine 1, I installed a program called, listen to this line carefully. I installed a program called SQL Server. Actually, the answer is in the line itself. I installed a program called SQL Server. On my computer, there are many files over here. Okay. And so SQL is something that helps you organize data in tables and rows. Much like Excel. For your purpose, you can say much like Excel, it helps you organize data in rows and columns. On machine 2, I installed another program. This program is called SQL Server Management Studio, SSMS. SQL Server Management Studio. A window opens. On that window, I wrote a query. Select, please listen to this syntax. Not carefully, but somewhat. Select star from students. Okay. Then I pressed enter. A request went here. Machine 1 listened to that. This program over here, this circle program, listened to the request, looked for data in the files, and responded with a table. 1, student name A, email ID a@b.com, 2, b@c. So in this diagram, I would want to ask, what do you think? Which machine is the client and which machine is the server? M1 is the server, M2 is the client, of course. So server and client is a loose terminology, which largely means client makes the data request, server listens for it. So I think the first part of the architecture is clear to you. Clients make request, servers respond to request. Okay. So all of you right now joining my session are joining it via a client. You are using a client called browser. Your browser is making a request to the server, and the server is sending you data back. Okay. Is that clear? All right. So now the second part. Now what happens when I write? So this is, we understand that this browser is actually a client. So when I write, let us say youtube.com. So what happens? Somewhere on the internet, there is some computer which is running a program to give response to YouTube requests. So what happens here? So every computer has an address assigned to it. Every computer has an address assigned to it called an IP address. IP address. Okay? IP address. So let us say this machine 2 and this machine 1. This machine has an IP address 192.168.1.55. Let us say this has an IP address 201.55.66.77. Just an example. Okay. So when I write youtube.com, this request goes to a place called DNS registrar or DNS repository, basically. DNS repository. So this DNS repository maintains this table that if you are trying to look for youtube.com, you actually need to go to this IP address 201.55.66.77. Okay? So when I write youtube.com here, first my computer makes a hit to which machine? A machine called DNS repository, domain name server repository. This repository has this address that, oh, you are trying to look for youtube.com, which means actually you do not want to go to youtube.com. You actually want to go to this machine 255.67.66.51. And this is given back to me. Now youtube.com that gets converted into 255.67.66.51. Now the request goes to the absolute computer which has this address. So this computer, let us say M2, this is M1. This has the address 255.67.66.51. This is actually running a program here which would give in its response the video files of YouTube. So you would get video files of YouTube in a specific format. So it would give a document back in something called HTML. The browser would show you what the HTML contains. The browser would show you what HTML contains. So in this story, from the second story, what you have learned is when you make a request, so this is the gist that you have to remember. When you make a request like youtube.com, this gets converted into an IP address. This gets converted into an IP address. This is the first thing that you have to remember. That when you write youtube.com, it gets converted into IP address. The request goes to that machine which has this IP address. So for now, I would call that it youtube.com only. youtube.com only. Now youtube.com returns data to you. In what format? If it is returning data has to be in some format. So it returns data according to HTTP protocol in a format called HTML. So when you see a video, let me show you an HTML file. Then you would understand this particular aspect of a browser. Just wait 1 minute. Yeah, Ritesh, it is not necessary that it starts from 192. So static IPs are generally not starting with 192. So see the entire screen. I am going to show you a sample HTML file. Nilaksh, those 192 addresses are assigned to you by your router. They are local IP addresses. The real IP address is of your router. The public IP address does not start with 192. Okay. For now, let us see a HTML file. Okay. So I should open a website. I would open Scalar itself. Okay. Or instead of Scalar, let me check out Horoscope. Okay. Now I went to this website, horoscope.com, and I see a UI here. I see these tabs. Do you see these tabs? There is yesterday, today, tomorrow, etc., etc. There are these buttons, then there are these buttons, etc., etc. Did the server actually send such a page or send something else? Let me show you what the server sent. The server did not send me this. The server sent something else. Let me show you what server sent. Server actually sent this data. Server actually sent such a file. Do you see this file? This file has many href equal to something. It has Aries, Taurus, etc., etc. There is so much content. But on the UI, I see something else. So do you now realize your browser has at least two responsibilities? I have clearly spelled out one responsibility. I want you to spell out the second responsibility for me. So your browser has at least two responsibilities. The first responsibility is to make a request. What is the second responsibility? What is the second responsibility? Exactly. Translate, or I would say render the HTML into UI. Convert the real word that we use is render the UI. Instead of saying convert HTML to UI, we say render the HTML into a UI. Okay, so that is the second thing that has happened. Cool. So let me again share the iPad. So we now know two responsibilities of the browser. One is to make requests, second is to render a UI. So let me say that we made a request to scalar.com, and scalar.com sent me a HTML file. This request went to this machine and it did not send me a UI. It actually sent me a file, which file looked like this. So see this now see this. You are going to start seeing some HTML code. This file looks like this, HTML. Then in the head there is a head tag. This is called a tag. And then there is a body tag. And in the body tag, let us say there is a paragraph, hello there. And then let us say there is a button, save, button. Okay, so when this file will come back, what we'll see on the UI is, we'll see just this, hello there, and then we would see a button called save. Alright, in this class your computer is a server. Actually not true. So I am also a client. So I am sending my video to a server, and the server is sending to all of them, to all of you. So did you understand this part? That I will call it an HTML file was sent and the browser rendered the UI. So now you understand at least the architecture. Okay, front end is also UI. Of course, front end is a UI. Cool. All right then. All right. So let us proceed further. Now, what are the technologies used here? So the second part of the session. So the basic architecture is done. Second part of the session, there are three parts. The three part is no code website development. So technology is used. So there are three primary technologies. One is HTML, one is CSS, one is JavaScript. These are the three primary technologies, at least on the front end side. So HTML defines what to show, what content to show. So this is the file which contains the data. All right. CSS contains how to present the data, to show that in red color, to show that in black color, or what else. JavaScript defines behavior. So it adds coding behavior. So if there are some animations to do, all right. So what to show? For example, if I would have, so let me again show you these three files, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Just give me 1 second. Let me again show you. So what do these files look like? Okay, I would go to a CodePen. So in this CodePen is a website where we can create our own HTML pages. So right now, do you see? There is no HTML, there is no CSS, there is no JavaScript. So at the bottom, I cannot see anything. So let me write some HTML here. So I would write some HTML. I would just quickly write some HTML. So this is what HTML looks like. So there are tags. There is an opening tag, then there is a closing tag. The top tag is called HTML. Then there is a head tag. And then there is a body tag. So most of the data comes inside the body tag. So, body. Alright. So I think so far we cannot see anything in the bottom. But let us say I want to show a paragraph here. So I would say paragraph, hello there, and I would just close the paragraph. So can you see that hello there has come at the bottom? Hello there has come at the bottom. Now what does CSS do? So this is how you write a CSS. I am saying that the body should have a background color of, let us say, red. So CSS defines that the background color has to be red and the text color has to be white. So hello there has come into white. So this is what CSS does. CSS controls the presentation. HTML controls the content. Okay. And JavaScript controls the behavior. For example, I could, on the click of this hello there, I could open a pop-up. So let me try to do that. So I would try to quickly write something. Let p equal to document dot query selector. You would have to be a little patient. Query selector p. So actually I've selected that paragraph and I'm now going to attach an event to it. Document.add event listener on this P paragraph, and for click run a function. If I make a mistake, do not judge me. I will take help of ChatGPT. There's no need to cram anything. So actually there is some mistake. So let me see if hello there would give me an effect. No. So I would just ask start a new chat. So syntax, I do not cram the syntax. So how to attach a click event to a paragraph, to a P tag in HTML. So let's see. Using JavaScript I wanted to ask actually. So we have that. Just show me the code, no? So add event listener, click. Alright, I get it. So not document.add event listener, I should say p.add event listener, click, and the function. So let's see. Yeah, so hello came up. So see what happened? I click here and a hello comes up. So you see what is happening. The gist of this is HTML provides the content, CSS provides the presentation, JavaScript provides the behavior. Is the responsibility of these three technologies clear to you? At least the basics. So you know what HTML does. HTML gives you content, CSS presents it, and JavaScript adds behavior to it. All right. Let's move forward. Okay. So what happens? Do you think Cricinfo has how many pages? For that matter, what do you think? Cricinfo, does it have millions of pages? Why am I asking this? Why would I ask this question is, so using Cricinfo, I can find data of any match. When I write cricinfo.com, let us say I wrote World Cup match 1, World Cup match 2. So when I would make a different request, I would get the data of that one. I would see the HTML of that match. Let me again try to say it. Before I say it, can you see the iPad screen? iPad screen is visible or not? Yeah, all right. So the real question that I want to ask here is, do you realize that the servers cannot create all the HTML pages required from the beginning? So servers cannot, for example, on google.com you could search for anything. Do you think google.com has created a separate HTML page for all the queries that would be made to it? For example, let us say user 1 searched for brownies, and user 2 searched for let us say ice cream. Do you think this Google server has a separate HTML file called brownies.html and a separate HTML file icecream.html which is sent to these people? So for icecream.html we sent him this, for brownies we sent him that. So these pages are created, this HTML file that is being sent, this HTML file does not exist. These files have to be created dynamically. So what I am saying here is, using your browser, let us say you are on google.com and you have this search box and you wrote brownies and you said search, go. So when this request was sent to Google server did not have a page for brownies. It had a database. It spoke to that database, and using backend technology. So now I am coming to backend. Using backend technologies, it made a search in the database and prepared an HTML file. So it made loops. So this file was created, did not exist. So when the request went, this file was created, HTML, head, body, etc. And this file was created with appropriate data and sent back. Do you understand this also? You send a request. So here the program, the database keeps on updating, of course. So database is updated by another piece of program called bots. So bots keep on updating this database. They keep on crawling the internet. Yeah, I would explain that again. So what I am saying here is, when you wrote google.com in the bar, and in the search box you wrote brownies and you pressed go. So a request went to a server. What I am saying is server does not have a brownies.html ready, but server has a program running here. Which is written using backend technologies. I would just give you an example in 1 minute. What are those backend technologies? So the program would run, the program would access the data stored in database, would pull that data and prepare this HTML file in response to the request. So in response to the request, this program runs, interacts with the database, prepares the HTML file and sends the HTML file. So what I am trying to say here is, these files are not ready over there. So for every request, the program interacts with the database and prepares the HTML file. What I mean to say is these HTML files are dynamically generated. So they are not ready there. So if they were to store the HTML files for all the information, there would be so many HTML files. That cannot be stored. Okay. Uday Kumar, correct. So is it clear? Is this part clear? Why is that part important? Is because that is linked to backend technologies. So what do you think is the responsibility of backend technologies? For now you understand these responsibilities. You understand the responsibility of a browser. Tell me the two responsibilities of the browser quickly. Tell me the two responsibilities of the browser that we have discussed in the class quickly. There are two responsibilities. Make request, render UI. Those were the two requests. Correct. And in browser, which technologies are used? Browser has to understand the HTML, to render the UI, has to understand CSS to know how to present that UI, which colors, etc. to show, have to understand the JavaScript to add behaviors. For example, what would happen on a click. So browser makes a request, renders the UI and uses these technologies like HTML, CSS and JavaScript. This is called front end. Front, because this is near the user, in front of the user. So that is why it's called front end. Now the request goes to server. The programs that run on the server, they run on backend technologies. Now you have to tell me the responsibility of these backend technologies. We just discussed them. There is a database over here which contains the data. There are many tables, many rows. So a request comes. When the request comes, what is the first responsibility of the server? When the request comes? To listen to the request, to understand what is asked for. Then, second responsibility, to speak to the database. Third responsibility, prepare and send the response. So response is typically an HTML file, a CSS file, a JavaScript file, sometimes images, sometimes videos also. So we send this stuff back. So backend technologies is generally, now we know what backend technologies do. Let me mention a few backend examples. So there are many languages, libraries and frameworks to do this work. Let me mention one. So Node and Express. JavaScript is the language, Node is the platform, Express is the framework which does this thing. If there is a Ruby programmer, Ruby would be the language, Rails would be the framework. If you are a Python programmer, Python is the language, Django is the framework. Framework has a lot of code already written into it. So it makes easy for you to interact with the database, send a response, prepare HTML, etc. Okay. So there are so many languages. So if you are from C#, the framework is called ASP.NET MVC. If you are from Java, a popular framework is Spring. So there are many backend frameworks. Is this clear? Nukasri, which part do you want me to repeat? You want me to repeat these examples of backend technologies? The examples. Okay. So backend examples. So generally, a backend technology will be a combination of three things or two things. There would be a language, which programming language you would use, and that language would have a framework. You would want to ask what a framework is. A framework has pre-built functions inside it. So these are examples. These are a few examples. There are many more besides these. I am just mentioning five. JavaScript language, Node Express as the framework. I would call it Node Express together, but generally the framework name is Express only. Ruby language, Rails framework. It is called Ruby on the Rails. Python language, Django framework. C# language, ASP.NET MVC framework. Java language, Spring framework. So all I want to tell here is, language, I am sure you know what a programming language is. Framework is a set of libraries. Which has many functions pre-written into it. Okay? So now if you want to become a full-fledged web developer, let me say if you want to become a full stack developer. A full stack developer is a person in the market who can write front end and who can write back end. Explain the framework in detail. So see, instead of framework, let me first mention something called a library. Library is a piece of code. It's a program only. But this program has no UI. So let us say I want to create an application. So my program would have a UI. I would use a program written by other people called a library. This library will have many functions already written into it. Function 1, function 2, function 3, common functions. For example, the function to interact with the database. So when I would want to write an application, I would include a library and use its functions to do my work. Okay? Let us come back to what we were discussing. This is the second part of the session is about to finish. Second part of the function was, of the class was front end and back end. So a full stack developer is someone who works on front end as well as the back end. So if you want to become a full-fledged web developer, let us say you do not want to become a front end developer, you do not want to become a back end developer, let us say you want to become a full stack developer, then which all technologies do you need to be aware of? Sure, I can again explain front end and back end. Front end is the technologies that are used in a browser, on the browser side or the client side. Back end are the technologies that are used on the server side. So server side responsibilities are listening to a request, speaking to the database, preparing and sending the response. Responsibility on the browser side is to send a request, render the UI, present it well, and add behavior. So the files that are here are HTML, CSS and JavaScript. You just saw an example of that. For this side, I gave you a few examples. There is a database and the examples were you could do it using JavaScript and Node, or you could write this code using Python and Django framework. So now I want to ask you, let me ask you three questions. Let us say you just want to become a front-end developer. If you want to become a front-end developer, according to our class so far, what do you need to learn? What do you need to learn? If you want to become just a front-end developer, of course, you need to learn at the very least, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Sometimes, if you are being very enterprising, you could also learn some frameworks like React. So React helps you do this work in a more, it helps clean up your JavaScript basically. Basically, it helps you do JavaScript well. If you want to become a backend developer, what are the least number of technologies? At least give me an example of what we have mentioned so far. Which technologies do you need to use to become a backend developer? So either you need to know JavaScript and Node, or you need to know Ruby or Rails. There are many such frameworks. For every language there is a framework. C# or .NET, Java and Spring, etc., etc. One more thing, you could learn any of these. But you need to learn one more thing. If you want to become a backend developer, you need to learn one more thing. What do you think is that? On the backend, is this is the only program running, or there is something else also running? There is also the database. Database has the tables and all the data. Our programs interact with the database. So you also need to learn database which contains the data. So the most popular database is MySQL, there is Oracle, there is Mongo, there are many. Okay. So now you know, if you want to become a front-end developer, what you need to learn. If you want to become a back-end developer, what you need to learn. And if you want to become a full stack developer, you need to learn both the sides. A full stack developer knows both the sides. For example, he knows HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Generally, he also knows React on the front end. On the back end, he may know Node and Mongo as a database. Of course, JavaScript as the language. So one of the common full stack developer combinations is called MERN stack. MERN stack. But this is a very common combination. Why? Mongo is the database. Express is the framework. So this Node is Node Express. React in the front end. And N stands for Node. Okay. Of course, UI part is done by the browser. Correct. UI part is done by the browser. So I think second part of the session is also somewhat clear to you. But do you see? Now we come to our main class. No code website development. No code website development. So I would just ask you a simple question. Who do you think in the world would develop a website? Is our websites only developed by programmers? This is the previous slide. Vineet. Okay. Now no code website development. My question to you, who do you think wants to develop a website? Do only programmers develop websites? Do only programmers want to? Or anyone who is wanting to make a website, does he need to become a programmer first? So let us say I have a business, I want to do a business, I am just a maths teacher. Let's say I am a maths teacher and I want to show to people that these are my batches and you can subscribe to my batches. Do I need to be a programmer also now? So generally it would be good for the world if anyone who wants to conduct any business is able to make a website for himself. Okay. So these no code website development tools. So tools were developed. Please listen carefully. Tools were developed which would allow anyone, even who does not have any knowledge of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Python, Ruby, he does not know any front end, he does not know any back end, he does not know any database. But that person should be able to make a website. Tools were developed which would enable even non-programmers, non-coders to launch websites. So when we use such tools, please listen again. When we use such tools, we need not know anything on the front end. There is no need to know HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Also, there is no need to learn any database and no need to learn any Python or anything on the back end basically. There is no need to learn Python, Django or Ruby, Rails, etc. So, no code tools help you write the front end, help you write the back end, and without showing you the technology ever. So what they do is they show you an interface. They show you a program. Basically, they show you a program, and in that program you do drag and drop. That drag and drop eventually gets converted into HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Also, that gets converted into Ruby on the Rails or Python, Django, and also gets converted into a database. But you never see that. So it shows you a program using drag and drop, using which you would do drag and drop and create a website. So when you would do drag and drop, that drag and drop would behind the scenes be converted into HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Also, the backend of that would be converted into some language. Most likely, let us say that would get converted to Node Express and a database. Let us say Mongo. That would get converted into all those things. But you would not be. You would not be bothered about what HTML is going on, what Node Express is going on. So even a non-coder should be able to write it. So there are a few examples. So the most popular example in the world is WordPress. So I spoke to ChatGPT. So there was WordPress, there was Wix, there was Squarespace, and I happened to choose one framework called Webflow. So the rest of class is going to be our demo. The third part of the class is going to be our demo with Webflow. Before I begin with it, is the class so far somewhat clear to you? So we have discussed two things. I would just want to know the first thing and the second thing. The first thing was architecture of the web. Where we discussed what is a client, what is a server. This was the first part of the class. Second part of the class was technologies, where we discussed what is HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Then we segregated them into front end, back end. Okay. Now the third part of the class, third part was actually no code website development, web dev, and why should it be even allowed? Who needs it? who needs it. So are these three parts clear? Is the first part clear? Architecture of the web clear? Give me a yes. Quickly give me a yes if architecture of the web is clear. Okay. Are the technologies clear? At least the basics of these. Basics of these is fine. You need not be an expert at it, but you should be able to understand at least at the news level or the story level. Is it clear at the story level? Client server slide. If you want to see the client server slide, let me move with the flow. I would just attach this PDF to the recording. Don't worry. Who stores all the domains? Internet service providers and domain name server repositories. Yes, the person who stores the entity who stores the domain names is called domain name server repository, DNS repository. So Google also maintains a DNS repository. The main name of the institution is ICANN, ICANN, ICANN. Yes. So if you want to explore more about it, this is the keyword that you need to search. This entity takes responsibility of the domain names. Okay. Harshit, I was in the last 2 minutes, I was only discussing what we have discussed so far. Is architecture of the web client server clear? Are the technologies clear? And is it clear to you why does the world need no code web development? No code web development, because anybody would want to make a website without learning all these technologies. Okay. So the next part is we have to now learn this tool called Webflow, which I have selected for no code website development. Website development. So this part of the lecture is divided into 3 parts. One is tour of Webflow, a tour of Webflow. Second is a tour of designer and editor. Designer and editor. And the last is creating a business website. Demo website development. Demo website development. Okay. I would not be able to see your chat for a while because I am going to share the entire screen and I would not be able to see your chat. So I know MERN stack, I need to learn these. So Sayyam. So sometimes you quickly need to make a website. So it would be good if you know this, because then you need not do the entire MERN thing. Alright. There are so many. So I have chosen Webflow. So I will be using Webflow. I have prepared the session. So I have already prepared the session. No, I have already prepared the session using Webflow. So that is what I would be teaching. Okay. That is a very great project, Chiranjeet. But I think there are big teams who build these website builders. So right now, Chiranjeet is doing a very interesting discussion. He's saying how to build. So how do developers build these website builders? So if you carefully think, Chiranjeet, a no-code website builder is actually a translator. It gives you some UI and translates your UI into HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Okay, so actually at the heart of it, it is a translator only. All right. Okay. So I am going to share the entire screen now. I will not be able to see your chat for a while. So let us go to Webflow. Let me show you Webflow. So this is Webflow. This is Webflow. Okay. So the first place that you need to go is, I'm giving you a tour of the Webflow. View dashboard. This is your dashboard. Dashboard is where all your websites would be available. In the free mode, you can create 2 websites. So I've created one, I can create one more. So you can create 2 websites. So this is the first part where if you want, there is billing, etc. If you want to share it with a team, multiple people want to work, then there's a team part. So majorly I would say in the dashboard, all your sites would be listed here and you can access the tutorials. So in the tour of the entire Webflow, I would want to show this page where all websites are listed. Second is tutorials. They're very good tutorials, especially this Webflow University. So this is the second part, Webflow University. So there are video tutorials. First part of the tour is dashboard. Second part of the tour is Webflow University. There is interactive learning. So you can keep on clicking on the things and you would be able to learn. Also there are video courses. So that is the second part of the tour. Now the third most important part is designer. So let us go to designer. So in fact, instead of changing the old website, let me make a new website. So I would make a new website. So this place is called the designer. This place is called the designer. So I would now give you a tour of the designer and the editor. So these are two tools here. There are two tools here. One is called designer, one is editor. I would start with the blank website. Okay. So let me call it class demo and create the site. Okay. There are many things here, but I would tell you at least the prominent ones. So this part in the center is called canvas. This part is called canvas. There are two modes here, designing and editing. In designing, you would be able to give color, etc., organize the content. In editing, you would be able to change the text, etc. Okay. So this is designing and editing. In editing, you are able to change content. In designing, you are able to design stuff. So in the top, there are 4 of these buttons. So this tells me how your website would look at different sizes. So in the desktop, how it would look. In a tablet, it would look how. In a mobile landscape mode, it would look like what, and in the portrait mode, it would look like what. So this is for responsiveness. Is this part clear? What this part is for? This part is for what is called responsiveness. So tell me what responsiveness is. Responsiveness is that your website should be able to behave well on different form factors. Form factors means different size of devices. It should work well in a desktop, it should work well in a tablet, it should work well in a mobile, in both the horizontal and the vertical mode. So is responsiveness and this part clear to you? Do you know what is responsiveness? Responsive web design. So Webflow makes sure that your websites are responsive. Okay. All right. So the top is clear. Designing, editing is clear. Now this button, this play button is very necessary. This play button gives you a preview. You will be able to see your website like a real website. Okay. This is the preview button. This comment is not very important. This is to export. Export means it would give you the HTML, CSS and JavaScript. It would generate the HTML, CSS and JavaScript. HTML, CSS, JavaScript and also the images. So that is export. This is export. We need not bother about this. This is auto save. This would keep on saving. So important buttons at the top, you understand these 4. Then I think you understand export. Comments we ignore. With this is preview. This would show your actual website. And publish is the final one. So publish. After publish, you can even post it on LinkedIn and you can give it to anyone in the world and people will be able to use the URL to reach your website. So I think the top is clear to you. Now on the left hand side, the important sections are how to add different elements. So if I want to add a button, if I want to add a list, if I want to add, let us say header is a big text, or if I want to add a list, image, video, so whatever I want to add for a text area, for a text box, everything is there on the left hand side in the first plus button, elements. Okay. Second one is I can make multiple pages in the website. There is home page, there is about me page, there is careers page, etc., etc. So multiple pages can be made here. In the free tier, we can only make 2 pages, unfortunately. So next one is navigator. I would show what that means once we put in some elements here. So here the important tabs are elements. Elements is different kind of items that you can put in your website. Images, buttons, text box, paragraph, gallery, video, etc., etc. Second is pages. We can have a maximum of 2 pages in free tier. Third is navigator, which I would explain. So this is the second part of the designer. Third part of the designer is right hand side. So let me add something to show what that is. So let me add a, let us say, section. Okay. So I have added something here. In the navigator, you would see inside the body there is a section. Okay. So I have added a section here. Section does not show as such. Section is something to contain some data. Let me add something else also on the section. Let me add a header. So now, if you see in the navigator, body has a section, section has a heading. Body has a section, section has a heading. So this is my heading. Now what does the style do? So I think you should be able to understand what the style would do. There are different options here. So for example, typography. Using typography, I can decide the font, weight, pixel, etc. Okay. Then background, I can give it a background if I want. For example, on the navigator, I can select body and give it a background. No, gray, I do not like gray. I would want to have a, let us say, this color. This is not a very, very bad color, but I can define a color here. So now my website would have this color on the body itself. On the navigator, I selected body and then I applied the color. So on the right hand side, styling is most important. Styling is most important. There is option for borders, backgrounds, text, position, sizing. Most of it is self-explanatory. So you would be able, spacing is something that I need to show you. I would explain spacing in a while. So otherwise it is pretty self-obvious. You would be able to play around with things and you would be able to do things. Interactions is for animations. So we would do interaction. I would in my page add a few elements with some animations. So let me again go to iPad because I have not been able to see your chat. So just give me 1 second. So right now we have just done, I would do templates also, no worry. So right now we have done just two things. Tour of Webflow, in which we discussed dashboard. Dashboard is where all websites are there. There is university page. Is the speed of the Ramdhan, the speed is pretty good actually. Second is the university, where you can see video tutorials. Third is the designer and editor. Can you see the iPad or not? I want to ask you. You can see the iPad, no? All right. In tour of designer and editor, what did we see? What did we discuss? One thing was for responsiveness. Tell me what responsiveness was. Tell me what was responsiveness. What was responsiveness? Write in the chat. That your website should be able to behave well in all the devices. That is what we check via responsiveness. The second thing we saw was there was an option to preview. There was an option to preview. There was an option to export. So preview was there. Export was there. Then there was publish. After publishing, we would get a URL. When we would publish, we would get a URL which we can share with our friends and our friends can check our website. Okay. On the left pane, there were three important things. And on the right pane, there were three important things. In the left pane, the first thing we saw was different kind of elements. For example, buttons, drop down, text box, etc. On the left pane, second important thing was pages. Third thing was navigator. Roshan, please do not write it. So what is navigator? I would explain what is navigator. Navigator is to see how you have created the page, structure of the page. For example, let me show you the screen again. For example, right now in this page, in this simple page, at the top is a body. In the body there is a section. In the section there is a heading. So this nesting, if you want to navigate this nesting, you have what is called the navigator. So that is what our left hand side have. Okay. On the right pane, on the right hand side, we had styles, animations, and there is one more thing called settings. Styles, animations, and settings. So at the top we have responsiveness, preview, export, publish. Left pane we have elements, pages, and navigator. Right pane we have styles, animations, and settings. Now I want to proceed with last part of the last section, which is demo website development. I want to make a demo website. I am about to start. So before I start, I would take a look at the chat and then I would start. Not here. Where is the video? Here is the video. Just give me 1 second. I am about to start. Shopify is also one of the such tools. So Shopify is similar. Okay. Here also we have option of templates. All right. I am going to start with the last part here. Let us make a demo website. So I'm sharing the entire screen. Once I start, I would not be able to see the chat. Please. I need your focus now. Wait. I need your focus now. Please stop writing. let me define on the iPad what website I am going to make. Okay, so before I started working in Scalar, I am founder of Pep Coding. So I started a company called Pep Coding, and Pep Coding used to teach people computer science. So we would teach people DSA courses, we would teach people web app courses, mobile app courses. Okay, so let us say we want to make a website for Pep Coding. So I will show you how a Pep Coding website we can make quickly. I am assuming that you can see the iPad. This is what my website is going to look like. You can see the iPad? Yes, okay, all right, okay. So at the top, I will have a navigation bar. At the top, I will have a navigation bar. Here I will have the logo. Our logo used to be a mask. So let me just try to draw it. So this was our logo. Something like this. So PEP. So this is what our logo was, and something like that. Then I would want to tell people our services. So let us say I would have a section called DSA. I would have a section called web. Then I would have success stories, a link for success stories. Then I would have a link for testimonials, people saying good words about us. Then let us say I would have our team. Okay, then in the first look, I would just say a few words about Pep Coding. So I would have a big section here where I would write Pep Coding, making programming fun, etc., etc. I would have an image here and write a few text words there. Then I would have my services starting. So I would write DSA. If you would click on DSA, the page should scroll to this location. And here I would tell that that we would teach, let us say, basics of programming. Then we would teach, let us say, recursion and dynamic programming. Then we would teach graphs and trees, etc., etc. Graphs and trees. Here I would explain in a few words what is DSA. Okay. Then my third section, I would change the structure a little. Web dev, I would write on this side, and I would have some imagery here, some imagery here. Okay. Web success. In the success, I would show a gallery. For example, like this student success. I would have student photos. Student 1, Microsoft, student 2, Amazon, student 3, Google, etc., etc. Then in testimonials, so I have a YouTube channel. On those YouTube channel, whenever somebody would get selected to Google, we would record a video. So I would have those YouTube videos. So let us say this is Pep Coding student number 1. Tuba was placed in Uniqlo at a package of 52 lakhs. So Tuba recorded a video with us. So I would have Tuba playing a video. Nidhi was placed in Pep Coding student 2 was placed in Adobe. So she would play a video here. So I would have student videos in the testimonial section. Okay. Then team. Then I would want to show that in my team the teachers are Code Chef 5-star, 6-star. There is Harshit Manura that was 6-star. There are so many. So I would want to show those people and their skills, so that people would trust us more. Okay, this is the next part. And in the bottom, after the team, I would want to have a footer, a simple footer, where there are the links of, let us say, my LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube channel, and I would want to have a map here. Is this structure somewhat clear to you? We are going to try to make it. Is the structure somewhat clear to you? Okay, this will take not, that is the magic of it. It is, so we would be able to create this in less than 10 minutes. This thing right now, this page that we have, we would be able to create this in less than 10 minutes. Okay, that is what the magic is. No, if I would use MERN stack, or if I would go via the HTML CSS, this would take a lot of time. All right. So let us try. Where is this? Okay. So I'm going to delete whatever we have so far. So this section I'm going to delete. You go. We do not want you for 1 minute. You go. So right now body cannot be deleted. So body is where everything is. Okay. So to the body I would just apply a small color. small color, the color is also already applied. I am happy with that. Okay. Now I want in the top I want a navigation bar. So let me see, in the elements we have layouts also. In the layouts I have these navigations. So I think navigation logo left suits me. So I applied that. Okay. Now I would see in the this navigator and what this is made of. So there are containers, navbar, wrapper. Brand is actually that image, logo image. Okay. Then menu wrapper has this feature, user examples, etc. All right. So nav menu 2. This is first list item, second list item, third list item. I do not want the drop down, so I would delete it. I do not need this empty list item. I would delete the docs also. I would delete the get started button also. I do not need them. Okay. Then there is a menu button. I do not know what that is. Now I want these, more of these. I want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want 5 and there are only 3. So I would copy a few. I would copy 2 more. So there are 5. Now what I would do, I would go to editing. Array. And rename them. So first one is DSA. Second one is web dev. Array web dev or only web. Third one is success stories. Then we have testimonials. Then we have team. Okay. So created that quickly. Company logo, we can quickly change that image. So let me get pep coding logo. Here is the pep coding logo from the images I would want to download. So what I am going to do is quickly make this. Do not judge me on the logo. So let me quickly change the logo. I want to change you. So you have to upload it first. So I would upload it from the desktop. So whenever it is uploaded, I would apply it. Now it is too big. So I have to go back to designing and size is too big. So size is a problem. So I would say you take a height of, let us say, by 20, width of 20% or pixels. So looks fine to me. All right. So the first part is done. Nav bar is done. Now I want the section where I can write a few words about pep coding. So let me try to find an element. So this hero, this looks the best actually. Section element cannot, so I am not doing that. So I would want to add I do not see the same hero now. This is very nice hero. All right, so let's go with this. Okay, so pep coding, making where learning programming gets peppy, happy. Okay, so I do not want this button, so I am going to get rid of this. Navigator is going to help me. Where are you in the navigator? So I do not want you, whatever you are. Button, I do not require you. So you go. Okay, so this text here, I would want you to have a better size. So I would want to go to typography and increase the 20 pixel and height should be 30 or 40 pixel, 35 pixel. Okay. Images, you have seen how to change one image, so you can similarly change all the other images. So I would change this image also. Choose image. So let me upload a happy image. Smileys, too many smileys, so I'm going to upload that. Yeah, nice. So and here I would write something. So pep coding strives to make learning programming happy, merry and peppy. So come and learn with us and have fun on the way. Okay, so this is my first section. Okay, now I want to tell people about DSA web, the useful stuff basically. Okay, so let us do a preview, quickly a preview. Actually looks fair enough. No, not too bad. All right, so at the bottom I would want to add the next section now. This plus I should click. So now not a hero. Now I would want to use a feature section. This actually looks pretty good. Feature section. All right, these feature sections look fine enough to me, but I would steal this centered heading, and where is the features list? There is the features list, and in this container, navbar should be closed, hero should be closed, features wrapper to whatever features left, right. So I would want to have a heading here at the top. So I should have it inside here, container. Okay, nice. Okay, so data structures and algorithms. Oops. DSA. This learn more is not required, so I would just delete it. For now I would keep it. So DSA is asked in interviews of all big tech companies. Come and learn with us. We have an amazing success rate, etc., etc., whatever you want to say. Okay, so here I would say beginner foundation, basics of programming. So first we would teach basics of programming, and I would change the image. You know how to change the image now. Basics of programming. Then I would say concepts like recursion. Then I would say data structures. Okay. Stacks, trees, graphs. Okay, and I would change the imagery. You know how to change the imagery. Okay, so once this is done, now I am going to make a similar thing. This same feature list I want to copy. So I've copied it again. So there is another feature list, but in this feature list, no, I would want to have the left in the right and the right in the left. So what I would do is, in the container, I would drag feature lights to the top. So this changes. So there is a slight change, and actually I can change the color also if I want. So this had a color, so this color, so I can change this color to white. So where is your background? So your background should be white. We change it for the both of them. Oh, because both of them are the same features list, so the color would change for both of them together. No problem. So I will not mess too much with it. So the second is for web development. So color selection is a tricky thing. You can waste your entire day on color selection. And web development. Learn to make amazing websites using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React and Node. So here I would write HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Here I would write let us say React. Here I would write Node. Alright, so web development is there, data structures is there, fine. Now I have to do one very important thing. When somebody clicks on this DSA, they should be able to go to that DSA. So this DSA, in the settings I would give it an ID. In the settings I would give it an ID called DSA. This is important to give. Why? Because on this you have to set a nav link. So I want to say when you click on this DSA, I think in the editing I can change that. So in the editing I want to say where you have to go, not the URL, but within the page choose a page section, DSA section you have to go to. Similarly for web, I would again go back to the designing. For this web development, I would give it an ID of web. Once I give this ID of web, the second link array, I can connect it to that. In the page you have to go to web section. Okay, now let's give it a preview. Let's give it a quick preview. So this is what it looks like. And if I click on web, it goes there. And if I click on DSA, it goes there. I'm fine, I'm happy with it. Okay. And does it look good in other form factors? This looks fairly good in other form factors also. Nice, I am happy with it. But I do not like this image, this yellow image in smaller form factors. I want it only in the desktop. I do not want it in the lower two form factors. So right now I'm going to do something. So listen to it carefully. What I'm going to do. This image is fine in desktop and tablet mode. But in smaller mode, it looks ugly. Actually, it looks like ugly all through, but it looks very ugly there. So I don't want to have it there. So I am going to do it away. I am not going to show it in the smaller form factors. So what I would do is, I would click the third one, mobile landscape. And the mobile landscape, when this image is selected, in the navigator, I would find this image. And what I would do is, I would add a custom property called display none. That should not show. This would be applied to lower also by default, but this would not apply to the upper ones. So let me show this thing to you in preview. So in the desktop mode, you see this image. In the tablet mode, you see this image, but you do not see this image in the smaller modes, which is what I want. So this is what I meant by responsiveness. So you can decide to change your layout according to the display. Let me have testimonials and team also. So for testimonials, I am going to use, for testimonials, a gallery would be good. Gallery, there is a gallery option, so I would go to gallery, and for testimonials I would use this style, and in the header there is no place for a header, so I am going to copy this web development. I am going to copy this, and using the navigator I am going to place in the gallery overview, in this container, in the gallery wrapper, whatever, in the container I am going to have, I am going to have something in the container, our success. So our meritorious students. Okay. So not changing this. These images can be changed. All right. So after this, I would want to have my team. So for team, they have a specific thing. So I can define my team like that. The team section, not changing it, but going to link it, because I'm going to link it. So I am going to give an ID to our success and to our team. After this, I think I would just have the footer. So I would choose some footer where people can contact me. So I'm going to choose this one. So people should be able to contact me. Everything can be changed here. So, all right. So just leave it like that. Change these a little. So go to editing mode. Success should be linked to success. Testimonials should be linked to, I wonder did I create a testimonials? I did not create it. For team I created, so I would just link that one. Okay. All right. More or less it looks what I wanted from it. I have done something on the responsive. I would want to show a few effects also. So I am not satisfied yet. I would want to show a few effects also. Oh, this is the editing mode. So I would go to designing mode. Yeah, I would want to show an effect also. So how to apply an effect? So what I would do is, when people go to this success part and hover on student, so they should pop up. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to select this image, go to interactions, and in the interactions, whenever somebody mouse hovers on it, on hover, this would, let us say, jiggle. Okay, jiggle. So let's see what happens. So this jiggles now. So I would want to apply these effects to all these images, but you know how to apply an effect now. More or less, I think I'm done here. I do not want to mess too much. Now we can export the code if we want. If we want to host our code ourselves, I would export this file, CSS file, JavaScript file, and the assets. I would download all these things and then host it myself. But they also give me a hosting power, so why not use their power? So now in the publish class demo something, when I would publish, they would host it also. I would give you the URL to test it out. Okay, so this is the link, and this is what my website looks like with its logo, etc., everything. So in fact, this subscribe even works. So if I send this mail, I would receive this mail actually. So when people would send their mail to me, for that, do not use it too much. When I would give it to you actually, when you would send your email ID here, I would receive that on my email ID. So I've tested that out. So this works. So this is the link. Here. Sorry, I was not able to check out the chats while I was doing this. All right. Okay. Now, yeah. Just 1 minute. There is a homework for you also. So, just give me 1 second. So there is a homework for you also. What is the homework? What is the homework? So you have to create a portfolio website. In the portfolio website, what all would I want from your side? Portfolio website you have to make using Webflow. I would want name, image, brief intro. Your education, your projects, achievements, hobbies and extracurriculars, activities. There should be a form to contact you. So I should be able to try to contact you. And there should be a footer. Website should be responsive. It should work on all form factors. Add animations. I just show you how to add a simple animation. So add animations as many as possible, but it should not look too ugly. And publish the website. You would get a URL. So you have to share that URL with us. And make a LinkedIn post. Post your website and ask people for feedback. So make it as beautiful as possible. So I just made it in 10 minutes. You do not make it in 10 minutes. Take at least 5-6 hours. Make it as pretty as possible. So this is going to be your homework. Alright. If you don't want to show your face, you put any other image. So you just make an avatar using ChatGPT and post that. Okay. Sayam, I would check it out. So Simran, over from my side. Simran and Yash, over from my side. I leave the stage to you guys. Simran, you there in the meeting?
Yes, sir. Guys, can you please poll?
So the homework is you have to make a similar website. Use templates. You can certainly use templates. Let me check out for Sayam Kumar. So where is your link? Sayam, please send the link again. Yeah. So pretty good actually, Sayam. Amazing, man. Wow. Wow. This is lovely work. Great. So you can actually submit that only. So the homework is, don't worry about the homework. The homework would be sent to you on your WhatsApp group also. Simran, you would be able to send them the homework?
Yes, I'll be sending once we are done with the session.
Simran, we would also be able to send them the recordings, no?
Yes, I'll send the recording as well.
So I would attach the PDF file. I would attach the notes file to the recording itself. Okay.
Okay, done.
All right, over to you. Done from my side.
Okay. Guys, please don't worry about the dashboard and the homework and recordings. We'll be sending it. Hello, am I audible? You guys can give me a thumbs up. Okay, so I'll be sending the recordings and the homework on WhatsApp group only. I would request everyone to complete their first and second tasks, which are already in the group. Either on dashboard you can complete, or on the Google form which is being provided on WhatsApp. Okay. If anyone is facing any issues, we'll be keeping one more session for dashboard issues and other issues if anyone is facing. So don't worry about that. Till then, we'll be counting your tasks from Google Form. So kindly complete your tasks on Google Form. Okay, guys, let's connect soon. All the best. Yeah, Sam, the website you have made is really good. I was just going through the same. You can send this. We can promote this as well. Great. Thank you, guys. All the best.